are you doing, man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm been trying to. So we had originally done a podcast last spring, and at the end of it, I was thinking of catching you again before you graduated.
I mean,
And of course, that didn't happen.
yep.
Because no one saw anyone else ever again starting around March.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone just disappeared into their own worlds, starting when lockdown started.
And now I am finally having you on again, but albeit under different circumstances. When I originally started doing the podcast, I stressed how much I wanted the aesthetic to be two people in the room talking, because I like the energy that arises from people sitting across from a table from each other. But of course, I can't do that now.
Yeah.
And so I've resorted to doing remote recording, and so far it's I have to tell you, it's not great.
It's not great, really?
Because I don't know, like the first person I tried to record the other day remotely, we had a lot of technical issues, and I have like half an episode in the can, and we're going to try to do more later on.
Oh man,
to finish out the convo.
Man, that's too bad. I mean, like, things have been hard. I'll say, like, watching, like, as a musician, watching everything going on and like trying to like record with people and have different meetings. It's hard, but it's doable. It just takes some time.
Yeah, and if you I would like you to eat this mic.
Oh, whoopsies.
So just so we can have consistent levels.
Of course. Try not to.
I am also
on it.
if I remember correctly, you said you're speaking into an SM58.
Yes.
I am also speaking into an SM58.
Oh, nice. Yours looks a lot fancier. You got a nice.
Well, that's just because it has a windscreen. It has a like 45-cent windscreen or something like that on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last I heard, you had graduated with your degree in jazz studies and such.
That's right.
And now you're at UMass Amherst.
That's
Amherst?
right. That's it.
Excuse me, the H is silent. Amherst.
That's right. Amherst.
So how is your graduate program in like jazz composition? Or
yeah, that's it. I'm doing the program up there is called the Jazz Composition and Arranging Program, and I'm studying under Jeff Holmes and Felipe Salas and a bunch of great guys up there.
Cool. And was there always the plan to go to grad school for jazz?
The plan was like to have the grad school option there.
Right.
The question was I going to go now? Was I going to go later? Was the money going to be there? That's the big question. Because I came out of undergrad. I got really lucky with just my situation between scholarship and grandparental foresight. And I was like, okay, I made it through undergrad without getting much debt at all. How can I do this and get a master's degree, especially since like there's a possibility of trying to teach in the future or do things at a college level where I would need like a master's. So I was like, all right, let's go out. We're going to go see if we can get any money from any schools. And I applied to 2 schools. I applied to DePaul University in Chicago because I was so tempted to move to Chicago because it's such a great city, such a great jazz scene, such a great place in general. And I applied to UMass Amherst because I have a lot of local connections up there. And DePaul gave me some money, but UMass gave me a nice little TA-ship that has taken care of a lot of things for me. Not everything, but enough that I could go. So yeah,
that's very nice. And do you were you specifically looking for a program in like jazz composition, or was it like just any kind of advanced jazz studies?
So, it's really funny that you asked that because, like, I played this gig like 3 years ago in the south end of Hartford at this place called Casona, which is this really great Latin music lounge, as they call it, which if things reopen up and stay there, I highly recommend everybody go check out Casona. Great food, great music, great spot. And I played this gig, and this guitar player, Doug Mayer, came up to me at the end. He's like, man, what are you thinking about for grad school? And at the time, I was like, oh, I'll just go do another jazz studies degree. And he's like, man, think about doing something different. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, if you go back to grad school, go back and go do something to make you more versatile. So
Yeah.
he was like, go do composition or film scoring or education or theory or anything that'll add to your performance skill set. So I was thinking about it for a while. I think I mentioned this before on the last time. I have my band, that's my sextet, and I've been writing a lot for it. So I was like, why not go back to school and work on composition and get better at that than I currently am? So that's how I ended up there and going down that path. It was like, what is a tool in my shed that could use some sharpening?
Right. Okay. I like that idea. Like, say, getting another degree in jazz studies is, I mean, sure, it's cool to do, and it means you would be really knowledgeable and well versed in that area of jazz studies. But making yourself a bit more multidimensional, diversifying your portfolio, you could say, that's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, and I've had a talk with a lot of my mentors about like going back to grad school, and I'll say this much, as much as I had my ups and downs at heart, whether it be with professors or students or whatever, my experience there was so great, and I learned most things about performing this music that I don't feel like I have to go back and do another jazz studies degree somewhere else.
Right. Like you've been around the block.
Oh yeah, man.
There's no sense going around this particular block again.
I mean, I've gone around this block about 4 times in a row now. I want to go see something else.
How many blocks equals a chorus?
I mean, who are we talking? Man, you could walk in a block for hours and still not have done a single chorus. What you trying to say?
And so the last time we saw each other was actually when we did the last podcast, which was like shortly before the world ended.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to think of when that was again, because time.
It was in like February or something, right?
I guess it was.
It might have been.
Like, time is just not the same anymore.
It's not. It is not.
Oh man. But yeah, I guess that's when it was.
And how I imagine that fucked up your graduation a bit.
Man, that's an interesting topic. Like, the biggest drag of going into lockdown in the middle of my last semester, it wasn't missing graduation or walking, because I honestly was not that concerned about that. I was like, oh wow, now I have to go to the Excel Center in front of everybody and walk and pretend to walk straight without tripping on this stage. And I'm kind of glad that we didn't do that. But the biggest drag for me, I didn't get to do my senior recital.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That bummed me out so much, because I was supposed to do my senior recital on April 4th, I think. It was the day after we were supposed to do the big band concert on campus with Steve Wilson, which also didn't happen, which was a huge drag. So like that sucked. But having my last half of my last semester online was honestly a gift. And like, a lot of people are probably like, oh man, what are you talking about? You're a performance major. Shut up. And I'm like, but seriously, I got so much out of my last semester at heart. I practiced more than I ever had. I got to focus on certain parts of my playing I never had before.
You didn't have anywhere to go, so you had a lot of time to practice.
I did. and I wrote more tunes. I wrote 3 charts for a non-net that I want to start when things open up again. And like,
yeah,
I've read some books. I did a lot of puzzles. I got to finally watch Avatar. Man, I love that show. But yeah, I got to do a whole bunch of things like that. And like having that last semester online was so great because I could do all that in my home, and get things ready for the eventual reopening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how are things at UMass Amherst in terms of like, how different is it from what you would expect it because of COVID?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Can you give me 1 second? I just realized I forgot my charger just across the room.
Okay.
Yeah. My bad. Whoops. My bad.
It's all right.
Ruining the flow of the podcast.
No. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll give you an image of what's happening at Hartford.
Oh, please do. I've heard a bunch of things from the jazz department, but nowhere else.
So what's happening is every student who was planning to like be on campus, whether for class or because they were living there, had to get tested within a couple of weeks of either moving in or before class started.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if they test negative, they're fine. They can go to class in person. But of course, if they test positive, that means they'll move in and be quarantined in their room forever. And, I mean, until they're healthy. And like they'll even have people bring food to their room for them. And of course, everyone who's out in like public is required to wear a mask. All the rooms have like the desks are arranged so that they're all 6 feet apart, and people were required to download an app called LiveSafe, where they go through like a daily health screening, asking questions like, how are you feeling today? Do you feel these symptoms? Have you tested positive, negative, etc.? And if you clear it, of course, you are allowed to go to campus and go to class.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from. I got my 2 roommates. I still live in Hartford, actually, which is
really,
yeah. A lot of people are like surprised by that, but like the work has been down here. I actually just played a gig last night in Hartford, but I am back in Massachusetts today. But yeah, so like my roommates were telling me about that because like the one thing I get nervous about is like I know a lot of people want to go party and a lot of people want to go see each other without masks. But like do you know what Hart's testing policy is besides like the first time test?
They will. So there's the testing before you come in to see if you're healthy, but then there will be like sporadic, not really sporadic. It's going to be like grabbing a random sample of people for asymptomatic testing.
Oh wow!
For like a rolling testing kind of thing that like grab like every week, every 2 weeks, grabbing a random sample of people to test them.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. Because so back to your original question about UMass Amherst before I realized my laptop was about to die. My bad. But UMass. So I had to go do my first test. So this is my first COVID test, and I took it like the day I showed up for my first day of classes, which is like all my classes are online. So, but I had to show up that day to grab a textbook. I had to figure out, like I showed up and they're like, oh, do you have a U card? And I'm like, what the heck is a U card? And like, I'm like, man, why aren't you guys telling me? I was super in the dark. And like, I showed up, I just got my U card on like Thursday, which is like 2 or 3 weeks later. But yeah, so I'd do my first test though on that first day and pick up a textbook, fill out some paperwork. And we test, if you live on campus or come on campus at all, you're required to test either twice a week if you're there every day or every week, or if you, like me, I'm not going to be there every week. Like I'm going away to my grandmother's for the next 2 weeks on Tuesday. So I'm not going to be around. So I don't have to test. I have to test 72 hours before I come on campus, So that's like the testing policy. And basically if you go to UMass, you have to, you can only be on campus if you have classes in person.
Yeah, no.
Oh, no. One second. I guess this is the point where the internet went out. Oh, are we back? Are we back? Maybe. I hear signs of life.
Reconnected.
Yeah.
If you could join the meeting again.
I'm here, man. Hooray! We did it.
Oh my God! I am so sorry.
It's okay.
For those listening, I just lost my internet connection, which normally does not happen. Which it happens like every once in a while, and I was hoping it would not happen today.
Hey, things happen, man.
Now, what were we saying?
That's about the situation at UMass. So I think you cut out when I was saying that.
I think the last thing I clearly remember is you said you have to get tested 72 hours before you come onto campus.
Oh yeah, and then like if you live on campus, you can only live on campus if you have a studio class, like either music or visual art. You work in like one of the laboratories on campus for a class, or I guess like if your home life isn't safe. I think those are like the only reasons you can live on campus.
Yeah.
So like there aren't very many people on campus to begin with. And even then, most classes are online. Like all my classes as a jazz composition arranging major are online, including the big band, which is really crazy. But yeah.
I'm taking a couple of classes in Heart, and I'm seeing stuff like weird masks for
the zipper.
Like I haven't seen them up close. I'm just thinking like all the instruments that require embouchure. Like how are you supposed to? Like I heard someone say the other day about like playing a flute, but like it's just like the sides of the mask are just a bit more like flared out. It's like how is that supposed to? What kind of effort is that in making the masks?
I mean,
accessible for flutes.
Wow, I have such a hard time with this idea of instrument masks because, like, let's start out. First of all, I'm a piano player, which means I can wear my mask when I'm playing all the time. But
all you have to do is like spray down the keys.
like that's it. Although I've been using all my own keyboards, and like, if anyone else wants to play my keyboard, I'm like, first of all, you got to go wash those hands, and then second of all. Whether they know it or not, I'm wiping that down later. But yeah, like I have such a problem with this mask thing just because like I get the sentiment, but at the same time, like some of these ideas are just faulty. Like flute masks, man. Why are you gonna wear a mask when you play the flute? Air and particles are getting everywhere through that flute, anyways. You know?
And have you seen any of the vocalist mask?
Wait, the vocalists have a mask?
They do.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's like, okay, so it's a mask, but then it's like a tent. It's so that the end of the mask is like a few inches from their face, so they could like, I guess, feel the vibrations, the reverberations coming back to their mouth.
What?
Which, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense.
I have no words for this. This like makes no sense. Like my favorite thing I've heard from Hart. So two of my best friends, one's a trumpet player, one's a bari sax player. They're still at Hart, and trumpet player, it's cool. She got a bell cover and has one of the masks. Apparently, it's got a zipper on it. I've heard it does not look very flattering at all. Got some images of some unsavory things, but my buddy who plays bari sax, he goes in, he has that weird mask with the zipper. Okay, the bari saxophone has numerous openings where air can escape. That's how it's a reed instrument. It's how it works. And they're like, here, have a bell cover. And he told me this. I'm like, why? A bell cover is going to do nothing. Air's coming out from everywhere else. I'm like, man.
Also, does having a bell cover like affect the sound? Is it detrimental to the tone or something?
Detrimental, no, but it's not ideal either. And like, I mean, I remember reading a study. It's not the only study, and I've heard conflicting things. So like, this study might be thrown out the window now, but you know, they had a study with brass instruments at least where they were like using like colored smoke or something to see where all the air comes out of. And it really doesn't go that far. I have to go double check my research, but you know, it's interesting. Like, I totally understand the sentiment of people like wanting to like be as safe as possible. And I totally agree with it. I held a concert series in my driveway this summer, and like, I was like, man, we're all going to like keep our distance from each other, but we're going to get to play together, you know? But like, yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this whole mask bell covers thing, because I think a lot of it is either A, pointless, or B, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's also weird that as a jazz studies major at the Hart School, did you ever take sound technology?
I did. Are you taking it with Kobe Nelson?
I am.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my that was one of my favorite teachers at Hart. Like, outside of like my normal jazz teachers, please tell him I say hello.
Okay, I totally will. And because okay, first of all, I want to preface this with a story about like my trials in trying to get into the class.
Okay.
So because I'm trying to minor in music, that means I'm not enrolled in the Hart School proper, which means every time I want to register for music classes, I have to jump through like 8 hoops.
Yikes.
And I remember around the time I was supposed to register for classes, like everyone got sent home. And
that's right.
Yeah. And so so I have to like digitally run around the Hart School and like find people to give me information so that I can know what to do to like get someone to sign off so I can register for sound technology, right?
Yeah.
And it went through a whole thing of like, I try to contact the evaluator. I don't hear anything. I contact the other evaluator. And then she talks to the other one, and then they kind of chew me out. But then...
What? What do you mean they chew you out?
It was like, because I understood. Well, I mean, I understood like it's weird because everyone's in quarantine and all that, and like requests are going to be processed slower. But I was like, I need like the class cap is at 10, and so I was like, I really want to like get on this. Other people who are enrolled into school don't have to do anything. They just put in the number and they register. I have to jump through like way more hoops than they do. So I'm like, and so like they chew me out about it. Like, please be patient, etc. But then they don't give me anything. I wait a few days. I'm like, nothing's happened. I guess I have to do this myself. So then like I go and talk to the department head of I forget the name of the division, but it's like...
Is that music production technology?
I mean, technically that...
Oh, Marcus Thomas? Is that Professor Marcus Thomas?
Marcus, I was trying to talk to Marcus Thomas because the department is technically something else that includes like music production and like music business and all that. Like contemporary studies or whatever it's called, or something like that.
I guess.
And I'm like, hey, I contact him, and he's like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. A few days go by. Okay, I'm gonna talk to Kobe, who teaches the course. I'm like, and he's like, I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna go talk to Marcus.
Oh man, I've had Marcus for a class this past spring. Marcus is a great guy, great teacher, but man, sometimes if you're looking for speedy responses, he's not quite your guy.
No. And so, and then after like a couple of weeks of this running around back and forth trying to see who can help me, I just finally decided like I found like I had to bother Marcus again just to be like, hey, I have a digital form here. I have it all filled out. I'm guessing I just need like a signature, digital or otherwise, on like the place here. And you're the department head. I think that's appropriate. And then he just eventually handed it off to Kobe.
That's hilarious.
And then he sent me a message and CC'd one of the evaluators. I'm like, okay, cool. A few days go by. Okay, nothing happened. I guess I have to do this myself. So I directly email Kobe. I'm like, here's the form. I would like an email from you explicitly approving it as the instructor. And then he sends it back to me. Okay, cool. And I have the form as a PDF. I attach. I get the page of the email as a PDF. I attach them together. I send it to my advisor to sign off on it. And I'm like, cool. And then I look at the course listing. The class filled up.
What? Wait, hold on. But you're in the class.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I'm actually in the class. And the thing is, so this running around the Hart School took so long that the class filled up as I sent in my form to like be signed and sent to the Center for Student Success.
Why am I not surprised?
And then like I had to get the Associate Dean of Arts and Sciences to like sign off on it because I was overloading. And then that didn't happen immediately. And my advisor was like had to send another email to make sure it got done, and it did.
Okay.
And because I had direct permission from Kobe, the instructor, it put me in as number 11 out of 10, and I got in the class.
Oh, thank goodness! Because yeah, Kobe is such a great teacher. I mean, I had him, but yeah, man, wow, that runaround that sounds like everyone at Hartford who wasn't me, because like I got really lucky between AP courses I took in high school and just my, you know what, I'm just going to do like everything I can while in college. That like for them, they're just like, all right, just go do your thing, I guess. And I was like, thanks. That's what I'm going to do anyways. Bye. So, you know, it worked out luckily.
Yeah. And this is all just a big wind up to talk about how, because of the COVID measures, COVID precautions, the sound technology course is not taking place in the recording studio.
Okay.
Which sucks because I really want to go in there and look at all the gear and shit. But we're an F410, which is, I've been in that room before for like theory.
Oh, wow. You guys are up there. That makes almost no sense.
Yeah. And so, because, you know, it's a tight space, it's a recording studio. There's not going to be enough room to keep people distanced. And that means we have to like imagine we're looking at a studio. And like,
oh no.
And so, it's like so far there's been 2 classes I've had with we've met twice, sound tech. The first week was like half an hour of this is what the class is going to be. Okay, bye. And then the last time we met a few days ago, it was trying to like play excerpts of music through these bad JBL speakers that are in every room.
Oh yeah, they're not only are they bad, they've been blown out by either people who want to listen to music, people who just really want to just listen to everything at the highest volume possible, or all of us who just want to listen to recordings at a normal level,
or people who like connect their computers or whatever to it, and then it ends up being really loud at the start. They're like, okay, let's turn it down.
Yep, that's it. Good old Hart.
Yeah, and so like you could barely like trying to like at least play recordings so you can like get the idea of like what stereo is. It's like this is not cutting it.
Yeah, wow, that's super rough.
And it also means like people who are like have to record for their assignments, like for like jazz studies majors or whatever, they have to like everyone's given a set of microphones that no one else will touch. In the, like, here's a case of microphones. They're yours for the semester, so that we're not exchanging a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I actually kind of like that. That makes a lot of sense. Like, I mean, this is my microphone. I've used it for exactly two purposes. Either something like this to talk into, or I set it up as a like far away mic to run a live stream. That's about it.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. Man, that's a drag. That sound technology course is so great. I will say, as much fun as it is being in the studio, you don't necessarily need to be in the studio to learn half the things you learn. Like, the biggest drawback is those speakers, those monitors that they have in the studio are so good.
Yeah.
That's the only drawback, though.
Yeah, like I mean, the reason I wanted to take the class is because, you know, I've been getting into recording for the past like year. Especially because I started doing the podcast like just about a year ago. And I wanted to take the class so I can fill out my minor and also to learn more. Like I knew it wasn't like I already know quite a bit about it. And so it's not going to be I know it's not going to be challenging for me. And you know, it's a win-win. I already know a lot, so I'm going to do well. And if anything, I'm going to learn something I didn't know before.
Yeah, I mean that's great. It's just like it's just too bad that like, you know, you're not going to get all the same bells and whistles you had like when I was there. Cuz like, you know, I'm thinking of like the only time we used any fun studio equipment was like talking about like different miking techniques. And then like Kobe would be like, someone go stand in that room and clap around the mics so you can hear what this like stereo setup sounds like. You know, and like that's super cool. I will say outside of that, a lot of the stuff you talk about is like super like heady, as in like you just kind of talk about it and like here's the concept and that's it.
Yeah, a lot of it seemed from in my experience, a lot of the concepts that goes into recording and production, they're kind of like what do you mean? What is that? Like it took me the longest time to figure out how a compressor works.
Yeah, that it's like you'll do in like one section of this class, if any of your listeners take this wonderful class, Kobe Nelson's what's that? Introduction to like recording technology or something.
Sound Technology
1, which if you're not a music production technology major, take it. It's a great class. Learn all about sound and recording sound. But like you talk about like the whole compressors and delay effects and all these different things to adjust like the timing and frequency and all the different parts of like the just all the parts of the sound that you can adjust and mess with. Like you just do a whole section on it. It's so great because like, he explains it so well.
Yeah. And I from the session I had just a few days ago, he assigned did he ever assign this to you? Like he laid out his theory about like what makes the different types of recordings. He has like a spectrum of recording aesthetics.
Yeah.
On one side you have recreative and the other side creative and then stuff in the middle.
Yeah, I was just talking to my mom about that today actually.
Did he ever assign you to like everyone picks like finds three recordings that you think one is on one end, on another end, and then one down the middle?
Yeah, I remember that really well.
Do you remember like what tracks you chose?
I know I remember one of them because I was showing my mom one of these tracks. So around this time last year, that movie Bohemian Rhapsody about Queen came out, you know?
Yeah.
And so my mom was a really avid Queen fan. And I was like, I've never really like sat and checked out Queen that much. So
Really?
yeah, so my mom was like, well, you know, oh, sorry. So I went to see the movie, and then afterwards, like my mom was telling me about these Queen records she used to have. Like, when was this? Uh, like when she was in high school or college in the 80s, she had like the original like A Night at the Opera and like the
Mhm.
single of We Will Rock You and is that Bohemian Rhapsody on the other? No, We Are the Champions was on the other side.
Yeah.
And so she showed me that and or talked about that to me. She didn't her brother actually threw out the actual records. Boo. And so, I decided at that point in time, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like listen to this and understand what's going on and like take a listen to this. So I was super about sorry. I was super about the song Night at the Opera, and there's a track on there called the Prophets song, which is a great record. Highly recommend. Check out the whole record, especially that song. And like, that one was my recreative song because at the beginning you hear like the wind and like wind chimes, like stuff that you can't hear like in a recreative setting. And you hear like the acoustic song as the same level as like an electric guitar, which is amplified. And the biggest kicker is in the middle of the song, the entire band drops off except for Freddie Mercury. And Freddie Mercury has his voice layered on top of itself again and again, creating all these cascades of like just all the notes he picks, puts them on like these big chords that sound really pretty and on top of each other. Something that you like can't recreate in a live setting, and then like some stereo panning too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I did my In the Middle was a Brad Mehldau track called The Garden.
Okay, which one?
It's called The Garden. And so
what record is that off of?
Finding Gabriel. It's his most recent record.
Oh.
Yeah, he does that whole like monologue against Trump. Love it. So great. Man, yeah, Brad Mehldau is incredible. And he made that album political in a very subtle way, and it was awesome. But yeah, like that tune is like he plays both piano and synthesizer and has all these voices that come in, and he's got trumpet and saxophone that come in with effects. So it was like a mixture of both. You could definitely recreate it to an extent, but there's certain things that you could keep in there, and then my recreative tune was a tune I was talking about in my class with Steve Davis hard bop seminar. It's called Split Kick by Art Blakey. And of course, it's a live record at the Cafe Bohemia, I think. See the Cafe Bohemia Birdland with the Jazz Messengers in like the 1950s. So that's what I did.
Cool.
So have you sent any yet, or is this like coming up?
I submitted my tracks for that assignment, and so on the creative end of the spectrum, I chose "Tomorrow Never Knows" by the Beatles.
Okay.
Which, of course, that was around the time when they were like they said fuck touring, and decided to like just like go into the studio and make crazy shit, right? So because like you got there's a clip of Paul McCartney laughing that's sped up to sound like a seagull.
I love this so much already. I have to understand, like, I like the Beatles, but I haven't listened to them a lot, especially like their earlier stuff, because like I have this like aversion to popular things.
Oh.
So anyway,
Andrew, you goddamn hipster,
man. Nah, I'm not any of those. I'm just like other. I'm just like all the way over. Like there's
miscellaneous.
I'm just like watching from like my little hill, being like, man, what you guys all talking about?
But are you familiar with Tomorrow Never Knows though?
I'm actually not. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh, okay. So it's a great track. It's the last track off of Revolver. the Beatles album Revolver from
Oh,
1966.
okay.
And funny enough, it was like the first song recorded for the record. And then there are other songs that just sound like regular songs, like Taxman,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like
Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine, or
Eleanor Rigby.
Eleanor
That's right.
Rigby, and like Here, There, and Everywhere. And like Tomorrow Never Knows, John Lennon like said to the engineer, like, I want this to sound like a bunch of Tibetan monks singing or something like that. And
Wow.
like they had like everyone make like weird tape loops, including like George Harrison playing a sitar, but like it's heavily saturated and sped up.
Okay. Okay.
And Ringo is playing this drum beat that it's in 4, but like it's just a weird ass drum beat that like it's not a traditional drum beat.
Oh, Ringo. Oh, Ringo.
It's like something like that. And there's like and of course that was around the time they were like, let's reverse this guitar solo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's also like a raga rock kind of thing. It's an Indian influenced raga thing.
Okay.
So it's just a C5 drone, and then the only thing that defines the tonality is John Lennon's melody.
Okay.
And then sometimes there's an orchestral hit that plays a B flat chord, so it implies C mixolydian.
Okay.
It's a weird ass track, and that's what I chose for my creative on the creative end.
Okay.
Down the middle, I chose the song 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yo, nice.
Because like when you listen to it, for the most part, it is like a rock band playing a song, right?
Yeah.
But like if you listen a bit more closely, there's the drum part played by Jimmy Chamberlain on that song. Mm-hmm. It is played live. It's him playing it, but it's only like a bar's worth of drum that they took and then they made into a drum loop.
Oh, sweet.
And then of course the like that weird clip of Billy Corgan's vocal that like that has like some echo and tremolo on it.
Oh yeah.
Like that's kind of like the hook of the song, aside from the guitar part that everyone thinks like, yeah, I love that part, the part where he goes,
yeah.
So that's the one that's down the middle. And on the recreative side, I chose a song called Disco Ulysses by this band called Wolfpack.
Oh, yep, I know a little bit about Wolfpack.
Yeah, this is a song off their previous studio album called Hill Climber from 2018.
Okay.
And of course, if anyone is familiar with Wolfpack's YouTube channel, you'll see videos from of every track from each album. Mm-hmm. They cut every song from their albums live, with everyone playing in the same room and like monitoring through like actual speakers. They don't use headphones.
Yeah.
And that particular one, I really like it. It's real funky, and it's also like they make weird videos sometimes, like for the song Cory Wong, if you've seen it.
I'm trying to think. I've seen a few. I've seen a lot of the Fearless Flyers videos because Nate Smith is the drummer on that.
Yeah,
Nate Smith, man, he's like beyond the real deal. He's like, he's gonna, like everyone's like he's gonna be a legend, and they're absolutely right. I think.
Yeah. Did you see the videos from the latest Fearless Flyers record called Tailwinds? I've
seen a couple of them.
It's I've seen a bunch of them, and it's fucking good. It's great.
Yeah, because actually it's got Grace Kelly on there, and man.
Oh yeah,
I have such mixed feelings on Grace Kelly. Like I actually played a gig with her once. Like when okay, back up. I can't necessarily say it's a gig with her. It was a gig that she happened to be on. And I don't talk about it very much just because I'm like, it was really weird. We're in this like big hall playing this big band, and like she didn't talk to anyone really. And I was like, oh, man, that's like super cool. You do your thing, but like do your thing, I guess. I
mean, the reason I know about Grace Kelly which for listeners, this is not Grace Kelly, the actress who is, I believe, has passed away. But
Saxophone player.
It's a saxophone player who's like in the New York kind of jazz scene.
Yeah. And if Kelly's listening, no disrespect, just like that's how
it's. I happen to like her because the way I found out about her is like I'm a fan of Adam Neely, the music theory YouTuber bassist person, and he played a gig with her that he made a gig vlog about and called "We Ended on a Really Long 5/7 Chord."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and of course I watched the video. I'm like, man, she's cool. This is like she arranged all the tunes or something, and she like plays like a monster. And when I am like over this, I think for a period of a few months, like the way the people at Wolf Records work is they like release a track a week when they have an album come out until the like all of them are out, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I'm looking like, oh, Fearless Liars, yeah, they do stuff. I'm watching them, and then like I see, oh, they have a bunch of saxophonists, and then I see, oh, that's Grace Kelly, and they're recording at Sound City in Van Nuys.
All right.
And like they for the most recent Fearless Liars record called Tailwinds, they did a cover of Benny and the Jets by Elton John, but it's instrumental, and also it's renamed Kenny and the Jets because one of the saxophonists is named Ken.
Yeah, I actually saw that one. I was like, oh man, this is really interesting.
Yeah. And so back when I was saying about how Wolfpack kind of makes some weird videos sometimes, and like weird lyric animations, like paper mache animals and whatever.
Yeah.
And also like on a song Corey Wong, which is the last track off their 2016 album The Beautiful Game, they have it scrolls overlaid on top of the video is like a screenplay that just scrolls through that just that describes what's in the video. And for this in a similar vein, the video for Disco Ulysses is a fake musical written kind of like a screenplay that's or just as like a musical script called Disco Ulysses, which is like a funky version of the Odyssey.
Wait, like the Odyssey, like the Iliad and the Odyssey?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy. I like that.
Yeah, because the name Ulysses is like a romanization of Odysseus.
Wow. The more you know. I like that.
And like it does describe like musical numbers throughout this text that's scrolling through, and like, but they're like fake songs because they're not actually real. They're just text that's scrolling through as they played a song in the video.
Oh wow, nice. That's pretty sick. I love it when like as a musician, I love it when other musicians make music that like references or cites other works of art, whether it be other music, like actual art, poetry, works of literature. Like,
yeah,
I was talking about, you know, a group I got into during quarantine, and I'm sure everybody is going to like write like 0 stars in the comments for this, but like I'd never listened to a Tribe Called Quest until like March.
Until I told you about him.
It was a mixture of you telling me about him and my buddy who's a Barry player was stuck with me for like 3 months in quarantine. So my buddy, his name's Tom Mudge. Shout out to Tom Mudge if he's here. And he's a great Barry player. And he goes to Hart School. And he's one of my great friends. And he was stuck with me for like 2 or 3 months in quarantine. And like we hung out every day. And like I remember one day we're doing this puzzle because I'm like, Tom, let's do some puzzles. And like I would like pull pieces out of the box and place them on the puzzle, and he just rage quit. He'd be so done. Anyways, like in one of these sessions, he's like, "Man, like check out this Tribe Called Quest thing since you're supposed to listen to him anyways." and so he shows me Low End Theory, and
Yeah.
he shows me a couple tracks, and eventually we get to We've Got the Jazz, and
Mhm.
like I was like, oh, all right, this is cool, I guess. But then I'm listening to the bass line, and it's just like dum, ding, 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 dum, dum, ding, 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 dum, and it's the bass line from a Miles Davis record from 1959. It was the same recording session that came out with Kind of Blue, and they play On Green Dolphin Street, and that's the bass line. And that's the bass line to the We've Got the Jazz song. And I was like, whoa, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
And like that got me into that. And then like, I've been really into like bands like Rush is one of my favorite bands of all time. And Ayn Rand is a huge influence on Neil Peart's lyric writing. And
Ayn Rand?
Yeah, that's right.
The objectivist philosopher?
The very controversial philosopher /
the lady who wrote The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged.
Yep, that's who we're talking about. That's right. Yeah, like Neil was like reading like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, and like coming up with all these tunes like 2112 and the Necromancer, all these like 20-minute songs that like are huge storytellers, and like I always thought that was so cool. Or like the great Rufus Reed has this album about the artwork. I think the artist is a sculptor, and I believe her name's Elizabeth Catlett. Yeah, Elizabeth Catlett. She's a American and Mexican sculptor, and like, man, her art is awesome. And he wrote music to that, and I just think that's so killing. Like when musicians are able to try to capture other people's artistry, whether it means borrowing something, completely referencing something, or having that as just inspiration somewhere up in our own like mental clouds.
Yeah. It reminds me of so there's this Wolfpack song called Dean Town, if you've heard
like Teen Town.
Yeah, it's a reference to Teen Town, the song by The Weather Report, with Jacob Astorius on bass.
Yeah.
And it's like one of their biggest hits, but it's like instrumental and the bass feature.
I mean, like, what else are you gonna do for Jaco? You got to do it.
And it's sick. And like the bassist for Wolfpack, his name is Joe Dart, and it's just like they played a concert at Madison Square Garden, and first of all, they sold out Madison Square Garden without a label, without a manager.
That's right. Independent musicians. That's what we need more of.
And it's like the weirdest thing. They're near the end of their set. They're like, next stop, Dean Town. And then they start playing it, and then you hear 14,000 people at Madison Square Garden singing along to a bass riff.
I mean, that's what's up. Have you ever, that makes me think of, there's this great Rush record. It's a live record from like 2000 something. And the record's called Rush in Rio. And when Rush plays YYZ, you're just listening in the background and you just hear the whole crowd singing the melody. This is an instrumental, no lyrics. And they're like screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, I think there's almost nothing cooler than that.
And there's also it seems like Wolfpack, this band, they are so prolific. They've released like a record a year since 2011. At first they put out EPs from 2011 to 2014, and then they put out their first full-length record in 2015, and then every year since then they put out a studio record, except for 2019 because they put out a live album, which is the recording of their Madison Square Garden concert.
Oh, sick!
But now they're working on a new record for 2020. It's going to be called "The Joy of Music, the Job of Real Estate." And wow. If anyone knows anything about Wolfpack, you know that Jack Stratton, the drummer and main person who mixes the records, he's like weird. He's just weird. He just says stuff that's like, what is he talking about?
Man, I love it already.
And like the like at the start of their Madison Square Garden concert, you see him like he's lying on the ground with his arm. He's propping himself up with his arms, and he's dragging his legs across the stage. And
Wow.
and he put out not that long ago. He put out a video on the Wolfpack YouTube channel. He's like, I did a bad thing. I did a real bad thing. And he just starts saying like something. I invested too much in like weird stocks and stuff that like they sound like real stocks, but they're actually like him mashing up property names together so that like it sounds like a joke. And he's like, we're out of money. We are selling a spot on the new Wolfpack album.
Yeah.
So it's like track 10 on the new Wolfpack album is going to go to whoever bids the highest on this eBay auction.
That is so out, but I also love that so much just because I love out things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man, that's interesting. So like understand, I don't know a whole lot about Wolfpack just because like they've never like I've checked out a few things and I've been like, man, like this is really cool. But like at the same time, I just haven't like sat down to listen to them that much. But like, you know, man, I have so much respect for them for just being an independent like artist.
Yeah.
Because like I'll say this much. I feel like more and more artists are becoming more and more independent. Like, you know, great example of a Hartford jazz musician who's nailing it is Jonathan Barber. Like, he's an independent artist. He's about to release a new record. It's on Bandcamp. Go check it out. Jonathan Barber and Vision Ahead live at the Jazz Standard. It's awesome. Cool. But yeah, like, man, like he's nailing it. He controls everything that goes out and is part of his artistic vision. And man, anytime I see any artist or band do that, I have the utmost respect for them. It doesn't matter if I like their music or not. I have so much respect because I know it's a lot of work. Like, for those of you who are, whether you're musicians or not, like, it's so much work to be an independent artist. Like, I mean, at this point in time, I'm an independent artist myself, but like, you know, there's not a lot to do in COVID. Although that's also not true either, because there's also everything to do during COVID.
Yeah.
But like, you know, all these guys are like, they book their own shows. They produce their own records. They release their own records. They do everything, and that's so hard. And like, if we had more independent artists, I think A, musicians would be able to make more of a living, and B, you know, things like people like Spotify, man. Spotify wouldn't be able to say you need to be releasing like an album every 3 to 4 months. I mean, that's so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah. Do you think forgive me for not knowing this, but do you have any records out?
I actually don't. I think you asked me last time, and I was actually about to try to record something in like April or May, and then everything shut down. So basically my plan is I'm going to wait till the time is right. You know, I'm not going to.
So you do intend to like make a record, release it?
Oh,
and do you think you're going to like take care of all the logistics, jump through all the hoops to like be the kind of independent artist that like does everything for themselves?
I really want to be that. I will say there is like a second option, which is like, so I've been working at / being a part of this great record label in Connecticut known as Truth Revolution Records. So when you're part of the label, like, they don't control much. They don't get your masters. They just like help you distribute it. You have to pay them to help with that. But like, you know, they're pretty hands off. And so like the only thing I've thought about maybe is approaching them, since like Zakai Curtis, who runs the label, is a very close friend and mentor of mine.
Word. He runs the label? Zakai Curtis?
Yeah, Zakai Curtis. That's my man.
Word.
So, but like, it's something I've thought about, but at the same time, I've been like, you know, I think doing it on my own would be great. So I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. I really would like to do it all on my own, just because I think it would take a lot of work and it would be super great.
Yeah. Have you have you been recording during lockdown?
A little bit here or there. I've been doing this, like, Truth Revolution Records is actually putting out a record of American classical music, is what we're calling it. And it's like, we're taking like songs written by like Chopin and a lot of classical musicians, and we are turning them into like tunes to be played by jazz musicians. So it's like you'll hear glimpses of the song, but it may not necessarily sound like the song itself.
Okay.
So that's super sick. And oh man, I'm losing my train of thought here. And so I've been doing some tracking for that on piano and keyboard, because I'm on a couple of tracks of that. And basically everybody contributes a few tracks and plays on a few tracks.
Cool.
So like that's been the most of my recording. I'm currently working on I'm trying to record some of the pieces I've been writing. So like I'm like making tracks for that. But besides that, that's about it. You know, I'm not doing any of the recording I really want to do, in the sense of like recording in a live session. Cause recording jazz is so hard over a distance.
Yeah.
Cause like it can be done, but it's just so hard because you don't have any like the spontaneity that you would have in the studio, and the feeding off each other's energy, feeding off each other's ideas, you know. So
yeah, it's live music that's supposed to be like you're supposed to feel each other playing.
Yeah. And like one of my big philosophies as a musician is to like have the music to be as organic as possible. And that means like having everybody there feeding off each other, contributing anything, letting things go crazy. You know, maybe it means like someone drops out, or someone like, or let's say we all abandon the form. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, man, like taking the spirit of the moment and going with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like that's why
that kind of thing just can't happen remotely.
Exactly. And it's a drag, but like we'll get through it. And, you know, when we get through it, we'll have all of this experience that we have done to build off of.
Yeah.
You know, so like it's going to be so great when everything is all said and done. We'll be able to be like, man, we used COVID to get better, and we all bonded over the fact that like we were stuck in this time. I mean, a lot of my buddies and I are doing oh shoot, losing my train of thought again. Oh, like we've been doing listening sessions together. And we'll just like get online, listen to some music, talk about the frustrations of not being able to gig or not being able to play together.
Yeah.
And, you know, by bonding over all that, like, you know, we've reached a new level in a lot of our different friendships and relationships with each other, you know. So,
well, that's cool. When you have the idea of making a record soon, yeah?
Soon,
or like when, like soonish?
Soonish, no? Like hopefully within the next couple of years.
And are you thinking about like making it like a real, like you do all the things, like you write all the things, you record it, you mix it and stuff like that?
Not necessarily that. I mean, I'd love to be able to say that, but no. Like my whole goal is to you know, I'm going to do all the organizing. I'm going to book the studio. We're going to go in. I'm going to contract out the mixing and mastering to someone. But you know, I'm going to be like in charge of everything, but I am going to delegate the things I know I can't do. Because like, you know, as much as we all wanted to do our, like most people I know don't do everything themselves. Cuz like, I mean, as much as I'd love to know things about mixing, I've had to spend too many times learning about how the piano works, how that machine that sometimes drives me crazy works. And so, you know, because of that, I don't know as much about about mixing and mastering.
Yeah, it's like I remember similar to your frustrations, like trying to learn guitar. Like I'm still learning guitar.
Yeah.
And to get to this point took like half a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's going to take an entire lifetime just to like feel comfortable
Definitely.
playing guitar, feeling like I know what I'm doing, right? And then, the idea of recording, it's a whole nother beast that is like counterintuitive, if you know what I mean.
Oh man, I totally know. Like I was talking with somebody about like this is like a lifelong journey to get better and better, and like it's not going to happen in a day, and it's going to be frustrating, but it's worth it. Just keep going.
Yeah, and like I said before, like it took me forever to learn like how a compressor works.
Oh,
Because when like anyone who knows who like produces music will know like the controls on a compressor make no sense, right?
yeah, like a lot of like audio tech doesn't make the most sense ever.
No, not really.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of it, like once you understand how it works, you're like, okay, this makes sense now, but this is super convoluted how you had to explain it.
Yeah, and like I think the way I try to understand it is because like when people think about recording music, it's like, oh, you just like you put microphones near the things, you hit record, and then it's done, right?
Ha ha ha! No.
And the way I think about it is like, okay, yes, use microphones to capture sound, but those microphones all have a certain frequency response. They capture a certain range of frequencies, right?
Yep.
But when you have like a full arrangement of different instruments like vocals, guitar, bass, drums, maybe keyboard, you have to be able to like make them mesh together. And the amount each microphone or each signal of each instrument, just leaving them be is not going to sound good because they all captured a certain range of frequencies, and it's not just smashing them together without doing anything is not going to sound good.
Yeah, and I mean that's another reason. Like I've been thinking about doing like another reason why I wouldn't necessarily do all the recording myself is because, man, to have like that range of microphones, like this is my only microphone I own. Like to have everything recorded myself is oof. That would not be great. And plus, if I'm gonna record, I'm gonna record on a real piano. And like, you can't necessarily see it, but my room in here with my piano in it, I could probably fit a drum set and a bass player comfortably. But for my full band, good luck.
This is my roundabout way of telling you that I'm actually working on a record right now.
Oh yeah, get it. What you putting on it?
It's not like, okay, so it's an album of ambient music.
All right, cool. Are you like recording the guitar parts? Are you like putting together some like sound patches? What you doing on it?
The idea behind it is, okay, so the title of the record is going to be Ambient 1: Guitar. And the idea behind it is that every sound you hear is a guitar part.
Oh,
but like it's all going to be manipulated to sound weird and like maybe not. You might not recognize it as a guitar, and it's going to be like a ambient soundscape.
Man, that's pretty sick. Actually, I really like the idea of that. Man, nice.
And I think the reason because I think the reason I wanted to do this is because over the summer, like I got a bunch of gear, including this interface I'm talking to you through right now, and like monitors, that bass guitar, these amplifiers down here, and because I was like, I really want to make a record this summer, but then I was like, I've written like 2 songs, yeah, and but also like when I think about making a record, it's like I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be me writing songs, like recording them, and like some of them will be like songs that have vocal, but I'm not comfortable as a vocalist.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and also like lockdown and like just had me feeling like not great. I'm like, well, this isn't the time to try to write songs or to like try to get better as a vocalist. So even though I probably could have used the time to do that, but I was like, then I realized I don't want my first record to be like an album of songs.
Okay.
And I want something that sounds easier than like writing songs and then recording them.
Interesting.
Or easier in a way, and like I figured, okay, let's make it instrumental. And then I'm like, I'm really interested in ambient music. Let's make it an instrumental ambient album. But I also wanted it to like have a coherent theme or like something
something that like it all like related around.
Yeah. And I thought I also like wanted to have the record write itself, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So I was like, I'm going to put as many limitations on myself as possible. So at first I was like, this is going to be ambient record. That's limitation 1. Then like, it's only going to be guitar, and I'm only going to record at DI, and I'm only going to record using my Telecaster there.
That's interesting. Like, man, that's really interesting. Like the thought process you're going through that. I mean, I like the idea of doing like that ambient record, like with just like, just your Stratocaster. But yeah, man, like do whatever is your artistic vision. Like, the reason I haven't recorded an album yet, and like people have been asking me about if I've had an album for like 4 or 5 years now, ever since high school. And I like, like in all honesty, like the time just hasn't been right for a lot of reasons. And like, it's getting closer. The time is pretty right now in terms of like my development as an artist has reached a point where I can like put something out, It may not be like the most perfect thing yet, but I can put it out and be like, okay, this is a good vision of like my artistic self. And I know that over time I'll get better and better, or at least I hope I'll get better and better, and I'll have more and more things to say. But my whole goal when I put out something is I want to put out something like quality, something that I'll be proud of and that people will enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. But yeah, man. Best of luck on that album. That sounds pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, I hope to release it like soonish. Like I've already got like artwork made and all that, and I think I've got most of the tracks recorded that I want.
Oh, that's great.
And also part of this was also because so I enrolled to fulfill my minor. I enrolled in an ear training course.
Oh, ear training. Who you with?
I was with Virag.
Oh, which Virag? I love both of them so much.
The Hungarian one?
They're both Hungarian. No. They're a husband and wife duo. There's Gabor.
Oh, the wife.
Catalin.
The wife.
Oh, Catalin is so great. Me and my buddy used to mess with her all the time. We came back from like first semester into second semester, and I bought like those noisemaker blowers. And as she walked into class, we all blew them all. We're like, surprise! And she's like, what the heck was that? It was one of my proudest moments of freshman year.
No, now notice my choice of words. I said I was with Virag.
I did hear that.
So here's a story. I tried to take a near training course the summer before last.
Okay, through Hartford or through something else?
At the University of Hartford.
Okay.
And because I thought, I'm not doing anything in the summer. I'm going to knock out a near training course.
Okay.
But I was with Roush.
Oh, Roush is so... Wow, he's just so hard on everyone. Like,
yeah.
And like, I just think it's to a point that if you're not like, if you're not like super desperate to know about your training, I think it's absurd.
Yeah. And not only was I with Roush, but it was a summer session, so it only lasted like 6 weeks.
Okay.
Meeting for a couple of hours per session 3 times a week.
Oh, no.
Which means it was accelerated.
Yep.
And there were 2 other students in the class who were vocalists.
That I already see where this is going.
Yeah. And so I couldn't match pitch half the time. And like, if anything, because I was so like, up until then, I have no formal training in music. Even now, even though I've taken like theory courses and courses in guitar at the university, I would say I still don't have enough formal training for it to matter.
Yeah.
Right. And so if anything, I was just going to slow them down. So I ended up dropping the course.
Yikes.
especially because like I misunderstood the first assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing he wanted us to do was like do this 8-bar thing, sing it, do the hand signs.
Yep.
But have the hand signs be 1 bar behind what you're singing.
Oh, that's so tricky.
And so I like, first of all, I didn't understand. I thought that was the extra credit bit. Or actually, I think the assignment was have it 1 beat behind, and the extra credit was do 1 bar behind.
Wow.
And like, this is hard for me. So I was like, I'm doing this straight, and it's really hard. And then I come into class. I'm like, I tried to practice this. I couldn't. And this is really fucking hard. I got like half of it. And he's like, the assignment was actually the 1 beat behind. I'm like, and he's like, do you want to try it? I'm like, I practice this straight and I still can't get it. I'd rather not embarrass myself or you.
Yeah.
And so I didn't. No.
Damn. Because like, you know, I know a lot of people really like Roush, and like I've heard he's a great teacher if that's what you're looking for. But like the thing is, I sometimes think that like instead of like looking at people's different interest levels and ability levels, like there are times I'm like there are times I've heard horror stories where I'm like, man, like why can't you just let these people like just get what they want out of this class instead of like going all the way to this like hand signing 1 beat behind? I never did that in any of my ear training classes, and I
Really?
don't think I'm any worse off for it. Yeah, I mean,
Who did you have?
I had Virag. I loved her so much, and like the thing is, like, so for me, for ear training was kind of a secondary thing. You know, I remember this is gonna sound so bad. Me and one of my buddies both had very good ears, to the point where we would come in 5 minutes before class started, ask somebody what was the homework, learn it, and then do it better than the rest of the class almost. Like next. Like that's what we did, because like I never really felt the need to practice for ear training personally. But like it's because I had been doing a lot of that stuff for years.
Really?
Yeah, like you know, you can catch me in the halls a lot of times. I'll start whistling tunes, but then I'll whistle them in different keys. And like I also have really good relative pitch, which means if you can sing a note, I can't tell you what that note is, but I can find C from there, typically. So when it comes to like doing like the ear training work, that for me that was easy, but I know not everybody has that easy of a time with it. So like a lot of people that I end up getting paired with would sometimes have trouble with it, and like, you know, rather than like kind of go in my own lane and like be like, oh well, I can do it, why can't you? It's like, man, like let's get together, let's figure this out, you know. So like, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Like that was your ear training experience.
Yeah, and that's the first half.
Oh,
now so that was the summer before last, right?
Yep.
I thought I was going to complete it over the summer. Then I'm like, this is really hard. I'm going to slow everyone down. I'm going to drop this. And I couldn't enroll in the next fall for the level 1 ear training because I was already at like 20 credits to register for the coming fall semester.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's not going to happen. And I figured, well, I'll do it. I'll try to do it next year, because I'll have that much more time that I've been like playing and like subconsciously working on my ear, right?
Yeah.
And then that year came and went, and I registered for elementary ear training level 1 for this semester. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see I'm going to see what I can do. And I felt like, I think my ear is definitely, I think it's getting there.
Yep.
And when I had the first few sessions of the class, I'm like, yeah, I actually am. Yeah, my ear is definitely better than it was a year and change ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then, like this past Wednesday,
Yeah.
I was in class. There was only one other kid in there at the moment. There's supposed to be someone else, but he wasn't there that day. And he's like a freshman cello performance major.
Okay, I don't know.
And
current freshman.
Yeah, and I mean, so I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I nailed the assignment. I'm able to be in pitch. It was the that's that same line of music from Roush's class before, doing it straight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I did it. And then Virag, she was like, okay, we're gonna do hand sign a bar behind. I'm like, okay. But then I do it like pretty well.
Nice.
Even though I was really like uncomfortable, thinking like this is like oh okay, wow, I'm like yeah. And then like even she told us to do a rhythm canon, so you tap out the rhythm of the piece of music, but a bar behind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, and then we did it. I'm like, and I did it pretty well. I'm like, okay, we're getting there. But then I was impressing myself in the class in the moment.
Okay.
And then we move on. We look at like a Blackbird folk song or whatever it's called.
Okay.
In the Bassinia Hungarica.
This is like 4 years ago for me.
Yeah.
I barely remember.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. But and the thing is, I think the reason why I did so well on the other thing was because it was in D. I had like seen it the year before. And like, I locked in on what F sharp sounds like. But then that, like, literally, it was me by rote associating the word me, the syllable me, with the note F sharp and how it sounds.
Okay.
Right? It wasn't actually ear training. It was just me doing it by rote, like associating syllable pitch, right?
But like at the same time, that is ear training in a way. It's just a different sense of it. Like,
because like the next thing we worked on was an F. I'm like, okay, find a do, and like I just kind of could not do it. Like the thing was easy. The thing before was easy because it was in D, and I was working on it a lot. And I was like, now it's an F, and I still can't really match pitch all that well. And then I ended up dropping the class.
Oh man,
because I figured, because like the entire plan was like, I'm gonna see where my ear is to see if it's ready, and I just ultimately decided I guess it's not. I'm not ready yet.
Oh man, but like, man, you're sounding like it sounds like things were going better. I mean,
definitely. Like my ear was definitely better, but I wouldn't say it was good yet.
Yeah, like man, that sounds great. I mean, just like progress is slow. I mean, that's something I gotta say. Like progress is slow, and like sometimes like things happen, and like man, it sounds like you made great progress, but like that moment in class just deterred you. But man, I wouldn't worry about that. Like you're in there to get better. You're not in there to be perfect. Like, man, you have to understand, like I talk to so many of my peers that are younger than me about like getting frustrated about things and like, why am I not perfect while I'm at school? And I'm like, you're not supposed to be. That's why you go to school. You go to school to get better and learn the things you don't know, So yeah, man. But I'm glad that it sounds like you were getting better.
Yeah. I've got one more year left, one more fall semester where I can take it.
Okay.
And I even I independently got like a digital ear training program.
Oh, cool. What you got?
The Beato ear training method.
I know absolutely nothing about that.
There's this guy on YouTube. His name is Rick Beato. He's like a middle-aged record producer, jazz guitarist person. And part of how he makes his living, because he stopped producing music, is he sells this ear training program.
Oh, I found it.
And I'm gonna try to use that in the meantime to better my ear.
They got a lot of stuff here: pitch, intervals, triads, modal voicings. Whoa, this is crazy stuff. Like, I mean, man, I'll say this much. One of the things crap, losing my train of thought. Oh man, like something you should totally check out if you get the chance though is just like find like songs that like relate to it. Cause like something I learned is like I learned a lot of my basic progressions by listening to songs that have them, or like scales or patterns. Like, man, the reason I even know what an octave is from the tune Blue Bossa. And like Blue Bossa is like So that's G, and I know that's a G, and then that becomes my like pivot note. Since I know that's a G, I can go find all my other notes.
Yeah, I also I've heard about people using like popular songs for the interval reference, like say the first two notes of Hey Jude or a descending minor third, and like the ba ba, like that wasn't a fifth, but the first two notes of the main title theme from Star Wars is a perfect fifth, and stuff like that. But like
Yeah.
I was focusing so much on like I was able to hear the pitch, like the intervals, the pitches, and like matched them when I was like practicing for that thing that was in D major, and I was surprising myself like I can actually hear this, and to the point where I wasn't even thinking about using the popular music references for the intervals.
I mean, like that's the goal. It's like finding the tools of things that'll help you get where you want to be, and like it's all about what you want to get out of it too. Like for me, I was like, man, like let's for ear training, I was like, well, I just want to be able to hear enough that I can pick things out by ear and like play them.
Yeah,
Which
I mean, like on my own, I can pick things. I've been able to pick things out, and also like write melodies because I'm able to pick them out. But like in a very academic context, doing like classical, like having to sight sing classical music and stuff, it's really not my bag right now.
I mean, sight reading classical music, even as a pianist with buttons that I press. That's so I'm so sorry to my kind, but like even like that is hard. Like so. Don't
and to wrap back around, part of this like me not being satisfied with my ear and like not being able not seeing myself doing well in this ear training course was like part of what made me want to make this record.
Yeah.
Like because I started making it like it's like the last half of August or something, but during that time I was also like, I have the ear training course coming up. I don't know what's going to happen, and it was, and now I'm not in it. I was being nervous about it. I'm like, is it going to be good? Is it going to go well? And like, what the hell am I going to do if I don't do well and I end up having to drop it?
Yeah, I mean, like, man, I think you have the ability to be able to go for it sooner than you think, and like it's like the fact that you're even trying to put out a record, like already kind of speaks to like you have your goals and you're going for them. So like, man, like you're gonna get the ear training thing. It just takes some time. Like everything takes some time. I remember being in high school and being like, man, why do I suck at the piano? Which obviously, like, people are listening. That's a huge exaggeration, of course. I know. Everybody yells at me all the time for being like, Andrew, you're not as bad as you say you are. Shut up. You're actually really good. It's just like a self, deprecation defense system, whatever it is. But, we're all getting there just a little bit at a time. And like, man, we're all heading towards our goals and aspirations. Slowly,
we all just want to get better,
Yeah.
That's just like, no matter what the short term or even long term goal for any of us, I guess, is like to get better at playing.
Yeah, exactly. Get better at playing. Get better at whatever our artistry is, whether it be composing, playing, creating art, whether that be drawing or painting or sculpting, or dancing or performing, theater, all of it.
Yeah. And I think we've gone on for a while, and I have to podcast someone else soon after this. Where I first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Oh man, my pleasure.
Again.
Blast.
And I'm glad this session had minimal disruptions.
Hey man, me too. Like, things happen. You just gotta go with the flow of it. Things happen.
play the changes.
Yeah, man, play the changes even when they're not there. Gotta do it.
Yeah. And I hope to finish this record soon so people like you can hear it. And
My way.
And there's something else I want to say to you. Shit. There's something else.
Oh. Now you got to rate this explicit.
They're all explicit anyway.
Oh man, I was trying to be on my best behavior for nothing then. Oh man.
No, but I think I lost it. But it's been cool to have you on again, and it feels weird doing it over like Zoom and shit. But
what you gonna do?
What you gonna do? And I'm still trying to figure out what was the one last thing I wanted to say to you. But I don't think it's there. Just give me 1 minute.
You got it, man. I'm just chilling. I'm having a good time here. You know, I do have to go soon though, because I'm supposed to have dinner.
Oh, okay.
My mom like 7, but okay. But
well, no. In fact, then I'll just let you go.
All right, dude. If you think of it, call me, text me. You know.
All right.
Anybody who knows me who's listening to this, call me, text me. Like,
I wanted it to be content for the podcast, but
okay.
But again, just thanks for coming on. Thanks for dealing with doing this virtually.
Oh man,
and the disruptions that come with that, and it's been cool talking to you.
Yeah, man, great to hear from you. Great to talk from you and talk with you, not from you. Wow.
That'd be a trick right there.
I know.
Ventriloquism over the internet.
I nailed it. I should have just bluffed with it. Yeah. Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Be well.
See you around.